Hello and welcome back to Lotus Reverie First Nexus. Let's see, I thought a bit about this tension thing. I think what we want to do now is we want to have a couple of main events and, in consequence, stories that we can tell to Thistle in sort of a backhand, so that if the tension goes too high, we can just throw those out there to lower it again. So that, and the other thing I'm assuming is that basically for every main event we get one such story, which means we're gonna do 3 main events now. Might take a while. It might actually take up the entire episode, but we'll see. All right, 3 of them include Rose. What do we want to talk about? Hospital, investigation, monolith, or gathering memories? You know what? Let's start with investigation. Yes, I know this will consume time. Exploration diary, day 243. We still haven't found a proper place to start the terraforming process. Maybe there isn't a single oasis in this desolate planet. We'll keep you updated on tonight's news bulletin. Have a good day. How did you go from astronaut to news anchor? No such thing as impossible goals if you never stop dreaming. Although I'm actually quite thirsty. That's why the oasis thing came to mind. We've been in like a million houses now. Can't you just get some tap water? The investigation trio is together once again. You know, the entire trip to the electrical substation was an initiation rite of sorts, so it shouldn't happen again. However, that bad memory with Rue is still firmly entrenched in your mind, so you prefer to keep your distance from him. Rose says the short circuit should have happened somewhere around these parts, so you and Rue are going around looking for answers. The issue is that this electrical grid is quite old and goes underground, so it's hard to tell if there's anything wrong on the surface. All you can do is go into every building that the main grid traverses or surrounds, until you find a building different from the rest. That's weird. This door seems to be blocked. When you go to find Rose to let her know about your findings, you find her absorbed in her own thoughts, looking up to the sky. What in the world are you doing? Maybe we should have come during the night, but it would have been a challenge considering there's no power around here yet. Why is that? Rose takes a second to snap out of her daze before replying back. I wouldn't be as thirsty as I am now. Still fooling around? I'm trying really hard to visualize the water and see if that helps. How's that even going to help? Haven't you ever heard that your dreams will come true if you try to visualize them with all your might? In short, no such thing as impossible goals if you never stop dreaming. It's getting harder and harder to believe you're a scientist at all. Nobody does. Everyone thinks I'm a top supermodel. Not surprising considering this hot body. For better or worse, you learn it is a vastly superior option to just ignore Rose and instead get to the point, explaining your discovery. The two of you go to the building in question and she reaches the same conclusion you did. Usually just forcing it a bit is enough to get it open, but here it seems as if there's something blocking it from the other side. That doesn't make any sense. Ryu, who's been completely indifferent to the investigation up to this point, approaches and tries his hand at opening the door. Every building was supposed to have been checked before, so there shouldn't be anything blocking any of the entrances. The 3 of you exchange gazes, leaving no doubt in your minds. You know you need to get that door open immediately. While they try to force the lock open, you look around for an alternate point of entry. All of the windows are sealed with shutters and bars, preventing you from even looking inside. There's no back door either, and judging by the distance between buildings, you would say it's impossible to make the jump to the roof from any of the surrounding buildings. Without any results, you shift gears to more extreme means. Let's stop fooling around. Rue draws a circle on the door with chalk. I see what you're up to. Don't you think it's a bit too much though? While Rose seems to know what's going on, you frown in puzzlement as you try to figure out the purpose of that chalk drawing. An explosion, perhaps? She realizes your situation and moves closer to explain, still never taking her eyes off the drawing. That's a magic circle, one for explosives to be precise. Well, there you go. I knew what was going on after all. He's going to blow that door up. Magic? And he needs to draw a circle? We could always blow it away with a more direct spell, but that wouldn't be very appropriate. Circles allow higher precision, and you can trigger them from a distance, making them the safest option. This way we can destroy only the hinges, reducing the total damage to the structure and take cover from the blast. We don't know what's blocking the door on the other side, so let's try to not destroy any evidence. Although I will say it's quite surprising to see Rue actually working for once, and even taking the lead. How is that surprising? How is it not? Rue finishes the circle by applying some of his own saliva to activate it. You take a few steps back for safety. Rue concentrates for a few seconds and the circle softly lights up. Ready. Take cover if you don't want a splinter stabbing out your eyes by accident. On the count of 3. 1, 2, and... An immense flood of water rushes out from behind the door, soaking you all the way up to your chest level. You apparently didn't take very great cover. You're caught completely off guard by this unexpected development and unable to react, at least until Rose breaks the ice. I'm even thirstier than before. What? Don't look at me like that. Rose, about that bloody visualization, you can stick it up your... Leaving aside all the troublesome cleanup after opening the door, you're finally able to get inside this building and learn what's going on. The explanation is simple. This is an old building, neither too big nor tall, and in its center there's a small courtyard with rusty water pipes on its walls. One water pipe broke, causing it to flood the entire courtyard and the building. That building must be very, very tightly isolated. There we go. Since it was hermetically closed, that's the word that you should probably use. This house became the perfect aquarium, only missing some aquatic life. Fixed. That pipe shouldn't bother us anymore, but the water bill could cause a few heart attacks. Fortunately for the tenants, they just disappeared off the face of the earth. The investigation proves to be an easy task, and you quickly find what you were looking for. The courtyard appears to have been under renovations. In the center of the floor, there's an open hole with power lines exposed, showing signs of water damage. Add the inclined slope and gravity, and you don't need to be a genius to realize the short circuit was caused by the flood. It isn't that weird to see some half-assed construction sites after the incident, and an old pipe breaking down isn't breaking news either. Are you sure the short circuit happened here? Rue raises an eyebrow as he questions Rose. She doesn't seem to notice, more focused on her own thoughts, so he continues. You were the one who said there was clear manipulation back at the castle, but this here... Looks like an accident, I know. You think you saw a slight smirk on Rue's face for a brief moment, as if he was enjoying this new turn of events. Let's take a step back. Suppose it wasn't an accident. That would mean someone came here and broke the pipe. That's not particularly difficult. It isn't, on the other hand, it's pretty difficult to accurately, not prophesize, but predict when exactly the short circuit would happen. I suppose you could always lie in wait to do whatever you want to do, but sort of there's like a pretty big range there, depending on how much water was coming out, of like a couple of days at most, where somewhere in that time might happen. Nevertheless, the power outage happened while we were all in the castle. It took minutes for all of us to meet after it happened. The chances that the culprit could travel fast enough to get from here to the castle in that short period of time are slim. So you're saying there was a lot of water and the short circuit happened almost immediately. Okay. Almost impossible, in my opinion. There may be enough time if we consider the extra time it takes for the water to reach the wires in the hole, but only if they used a fast vehicle or something similar. Impossible. Don't you remember Columbine was patrolling the walls that day? I wouldn't trust her on that. And Thistle was up on the tower keep. I wouldn't trust him on that either. The city is silent. There's nobody out here. They would have easily heard a car approaching the castle. Both Rose and you turn your gazes to Rue at the same time. Oh yeah, of course, unless they were conspiring together. I will note that you can even see this courtyard from the castle. The outage and everything happened at night, but all streets are well illuminated. Even if the building interior or the courtyard were pitch black, a lookout would still see all the movement in the streets without a problem. I was even on the tower keep before Thistle arrived, so I should have been able to see or hear any vehicle if there was one. That would rule out all the castle members, wouldn't it? Your interjection takes them by surprise and they frown in your direction. I mean, maybe they could have rushed their way to the castle, but they wouldn't have had any time to go up the towers or walls. I've gone up those endless stairs. They're not a thing you can just climb as if they were nothing. If we consider the risks, the only way that plan could work would have been to have an accomplice on duty. But if either Columbine or Thistle was the accomplice, the other one would have reported anything suspicious. This means both are actually cleared. Or both are accomplices. Unlikely, I know. Just like that regulation of 3, right? There may be a pair of co-conspirators because of the host and tulpa relationship, but a third person wouldn't get anything out of it. Even if there was another unknown reason, it's too risky to trust someone else considering how in the end only one pair will remain. I can see some reasons. For example, just to get the rest of the people out of the way. And the advantage that the one person would then have is that that one person would 100% know. Actually, they probably wouldn't tell him, so he wouldn't 100% know who's tulpa and who's human. But he would know that one of the two at least is. Your words sound encouraging, but they create the opposite result, especially on Rose. Oh well, maybe there was something prepared in advance. Some kind of system to break the pipe by itself? That's impossible too. The way Rue shakes his head smugly is a stark contrast to Rose's worried and thoughtful expression. There are no traces of any kind of contraption or system. Well, what if it was entirely built out of ice? Watch too much Detective Conan. Explosive would have left clues behind. If it was a chemical reaction, there would be traces on the metal. If magic was used, there should be a circle left somewhere. There aren't even any traces of a tool used to break the pipe, and I highly doubt the culprit would just punch it without leaving any kind of mark on their hands. Maybe the water erased the magic circle? A circle cannot be so easily erased if it was infused with aura. Even if it turns invisible, there are ways to detect it. There are no such signs or traces here. Maybe the culprit just came back and cleaned up the evidence. Don't you remember how all the entry points were sealed? A locked room. Why would they leave the entry points blocked if they were supposed to be open from previous investigations around the city? Maybe they climbed the outer wall of the building? Then they would be taking the risk of being seen by the castle watchmen, since we always have a few people on the tower and walls. And let's not forget that going out of the castle is strictly monitored under the rule of 3. I mean, it's improbable, but not impossible. There's one option that makes a lot more sense. It was an accident. Rose interrupts Rue. Her words sound confident, but that veneer of confidence starts to crumble as she continuously bites her lips. How do you know that? You told us that there was a clear manipulation of the system. I was wrong. Rue looks away, clearly skeptical. Rosemary tries to explain her mistake. I never said it was 100% not an accident. It just didn't look the part with the evidence we had before. I'm not saying I agree with Rue, but it's out of character for you to make an error on something that is supposed to be easy for you. No matter how basic it may seem to the untrained eye, all of you depend on me to provide this knowledge. You can treat everything I say as lies, but there's no one else with expertise in this subject who you can ask, so in the end you wouldn't have any other choice but to believe me. Besides, the power outage ended just fine with nothing bad happening, right? No one had any motives to perform a malicious act, so an accident is currently the only viable explanation. Rose touches her hand to her chest, asking for your trust, but Rue doesn't seem to concede that so easily. I believe you, Rose. To be precise, I believe the Rose from the other day. There's one other possibility that works so much better and doesn't involve anyone rushing to the castle or back. After all, we have an uneven number of people living in the castle right now. You're saying it was that woman in white from the rumors? Woman in white? Your composure falters for an instant, and you press your hand to your forehead. Of course, Sink knows nothing about this. Not long after the incident started, there was this rumor about a woman dressed in white who would kill anything on sight. She was supposed to be in the area around this castle, in fact, but nobody ever saw her with their own eyes. But that rumor was more than enough to make many people flee to the other side of the river, far away from here. How could those rumors even appear if she did kill everyone who saw her? That's nothing but a tall tale to spread fear and panic. No such person exists. I don't care if it's a woman in white or a woman in black. What I know for sure is that there must be someone else in this city who hasn't shown their face yet. Don't you agree? But we control all the food sources and the surveillance system. Nobody should be able to survive in this part of the city without us finding out. I'm asking you straight up. Does such a possibility exist? Yes or no? Rose lowers her head, taking a deep breath. Do you really think we should bring that possibility to light? We will only sow mistrust among the group. It's better than deluding ourselves with a lie. Since when do you care about any of that? I thought you were on Thistle's side. Ruse simply shrugs, unfazed. And it is not a lie. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe the manipulation in the castle had nothing to do with this. That's just a possibility, one that may create a huge impact depending on how we explain it to the rest. Or we can just explain the entire truth and let them reach the same conclusion I did. That won't help us in any way. Still, either way, we need to reach an agreement before coming back. Let's make a democratic vote. Sink, what do you say? Me? It's up to you. It's not like I was planning to explain it myself. We have to make sure we all come back with the same story. So Sink, you decide. We can try to be more optimistic and explain it from the perspective that this was an accident, which, I repeat, is a real possibility. Or just explain it as it is, which increases the chances of an 8th player. A conjecture that is not remotely proven, please keep that in mind. What approach will you take to the rest of the group? It was an accident. We won't get anything out of scaring everyone with an unfounded fear. We'll be able to reveal it all once we have proof and know for sure what happened. You see Rue let out a soft sigh, but he accepts your answer without putting up a fight. Exactly, it would just increase our troubles. It's much better to stay pragmatic. I do hope you are right, that it was all just an accident in the end. If the rest of the group finds out otherwise, I don't want to even think about what might go through their minds. Her reasons as hidden as her figure. Okay. The tension bar... it only goes up at the end of each day, I remember. What else do we have? Probably to get new characters, Hospital. Violet and Helio. Something wrong, Sink? You stroll through a peaceful park on your way to the hospital, not too far away from the castle. Your eyes scan over one of the park benches, then look up to the sky for a moment, before you're interrupted by a small object underfoot that almost trips up your step. When you move your feet away, you find a couple coins shimmering brilliantly in the sunlight. Their iridescent, constantly changing hue instantly grabs your attention. In any other setting, finding money would have been an act of joy. Hey look, that's a sign of good luck. Not that it has much value now. True, but it's still a good omen. I would keep it. If you want them, they're all yours. You take Helio's hand without notice and drop the coins into his palm. He immediately blushes at the contact of your fingertips. Helio takes a second to react before he shakes his head and speaks with a faltering voice. I appreciate the gesture, but it wouldn't be fine for me to just take it all. You found it, so how about we share, one each? You raise an eyebrow, accepting his proposal without much real interest. Your mind again starts wondering about the value of money at the moment. It may look useless now, but I'm sure we can find some use for it. Everything in this life has a purpose, we just need to find it. Helio's words, even if they are incredibly honest and pure, feel awkward to you. All you can do is give an embarrassed nod. Hello, did you forget about me? What are you two talking about that's made you fall so far behind? Goodness gracious, I thought Sink finally remembered something and all I find is some idle chatter. Sorry, that wasn't it, but... All you can remember from before your arrival at the castle is some kind of hospital, right? Helio crosses his arms, his expression doubtful. In contrast, Violet approaches you, brimming with curiosity. All of this feels blurry, I didn't really know what I was doing. That's normal, I imagine. I'm guessing that when you woke up, you wandered around in a state of shock until you finally reached the castle. You probably know this kind of phenomenon better than anyone, Violet. That could be the case. This area is not my specialty, so it's not like I can confirm it. Your specialty? You don't remember that either, cutie? I'm a medic. I gave you a quick checkup when you arrived and all. Now that you mention it. We had quite the ruckus in the castle the day you arrived, and I can't remember very well what happened either. You're lucky you could remember that hospital at least. That hospital is the only place you all haven't investigated so far, right? Why is that the case? At your words, Helios and Violet's spirits are visibly dampened, their faces turning worn and troubled. The hospital did get investigated, however, some people involved with that task weren't very trustworthy, you could say. That's why we're going to take a look now, honey. Don't forget to take it easy. Visiting a hospital doesn't usually evoke happy memories. Our priority is to identify when that amnesia of yours happened. I mean, for all I know, I could be involved with that traitor you all always avoid mentioning. Helio and Violet catch on to your intentions and exchange glances. She tilts her head and shrugs, leaving Helio to explain it. It's complicated. Let's just say we have an unspoken agreement not to mention him. He broke one of the regulations. We found out he would leave the castle on his own in secret. But did he do anything bad beyond that? Not really. We have no evidence of him trying anything malicious. In my opinion, no, at least. Then why is everyone so reluctant to talk about him? It was meant kind of like a punishment for him, and a warning for those still at the castle. You already know how things are around here, right? Thistle explained it. Just think, in the time before you arrived, there used to be many more people around. Little by little, our numbers have been diminishing. It's hard to accept it, but we all have moments of weakness. There were many who ended up breaking the regulations and losing everyone else's trust. Some did so out of necessity, others out of mutual mistrust. I don't blame them. It's not our current situation, of course. You have nothing to worry about. As long as you follow the regulations, everything should be fine. And if there comes a moment you cannot, then that's not going to happen. Everyone at the castle is really nice. You can trust everyone in our group. Until then, we can live comfortably and enjoy ourselves. And as long as we have a macho man like Helio to protect us, there's nothing to fear. Isn't that right, handsome? Of course. Yeah, I've seen how trustworthy everyone is after having been potentially tried to be killed twice. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Despite the circumstances, they clearly know very well how to recover an atmosphere of levity, switch the subject and resume that walk as if nothing ever happened. Or such a situation has just happened too many times. You arrive at the hospital to find its interior to be as spooky as you were expecting. The city's eternal silence you had already grown accustomed to pales in comparison to the gloomy atmosphere of this place. No wonder hospitals are overrepresented in horror movies. Don't be afraid, girls. As long as we stick together, there's nothing to be afraid of. I've worked in a place like this for way too long, silly. I'm used to it. I find it quite pleasant. It's clean and calm. Alright, to be perfectly precise, it's only Helio who finds this place spooky. Did you know hospitals are the most common places to hear psychophonies? Psychophonies? What's that? The voices of the spirits and the dead, especially of those who cannot find peace. After all, this is where they died. Voices of what? I mean, yeah, I see, that makes sense. I repeat, there's nothing to be shy about. You can be honest with me. Let me know if you hear anything weird. No need to raise your voice so much, Helio. Why are you trying to communicate with someone else in here? No, I'm just worried about you as a gentleman. If you're afraid, you can tell me. How about splitting up? That way we'll cover more space and Sync will be able to achieve greater focus. No. I mean, of course, no problem, but will you two be alright by yourselves? Why, yes, I can take this chance to look for a couple useful things we ran out of in the castle the other day. I would like to go upstairs, if you don't mind. Then what are we waiting for? Both of you girls accept the plan and take different paths. Helio remains in the same place, petrified, waiting for his cerebral cortex to restart. Hey, if you're afraid, you can tell me. I'll take charge, for reals. And if you aren't afraid, you should... First plan. Looking for some way up, you walk through a long hallway lined with flickering lights. Dim flashes briefly illuminate the darkness, accompanied by a perturbing buzz. You suddenly turn around but see nothing. And when you look straight ahead, you notice the elevator mysteriously descending by itself. This building isn't that tall in the first place, but the numbers change slowly. 6, 5, 4. Shivers ripple down your spine. You feel a cold and metallic sensation rubbing against your neck. There's nobody behind you though. The sensation disappears when you bring your hand to your neck. 3, 2, 1. Are the numbers still moving? The elevator bell announcing its arrival is deafeningly loud in the silence. The door takes an eternity to open. But when it happens, it's too late. Because you got tired of waiting and already took the stairs up. God damn it, game. Eh? Yeah, I thought it was Helio in the elevator. All that remains back there is a surprised young man looking dejected as the elevator doors close again. Second plan. This is just Helio's plans to not be alone. Upon reaching a new floor, your eyes adjust to the dark depths of the long hallways once again. Frowning, you try to catch glimpses of your environment. To be honest, I'd love it if the game just kind of lulled me into a false sense of security by presenting lots of different plans from Helio of how he's trying to not be alone, and at like the last plan, at like plan 5 or something, there's actual danger there. But we'll see. It's at this moment, as you're lost in thought, that you hear a soft dripping sound next to your feet, where you find a puddle of blood. You follow the red threads trailing up a flight of stairs to the next floor towards your destination. You slowly take a step back. You can hear a distant giggle coming from up there. Violet, what have you done? Your eyes dart back to the hallway, desperately searching for something. And then you take a wet floor sign and put it in front of the stairs to avoid any future accidents. Then take another way up. Okay, it's still all just Helio. 24th plan. After many other calamities, you prefer to forget. You finally reach the top floor. Your footsteps echo along this long hall, attempting to drown out a continuous banging noise. Something you can't ignore. An ajar door and that crude noise coming from the other side. Squeaking and rattling as if something was violently shaking one of the beds. You hold the knob carefully, trying to get close. The noise grows even more aggressive and cacophonous. You check your surroundings first. Take a deep breath. The intensity of the rattling only increases to a new height. And suddenly, you close the door. Latch it closed. Block the door with 2 heavy metal barrels that were just lying around for who knows what reason. And just leave, cheerfully whistling to yourself. You're in one of the rooms in the top floor, carefully inspecting the furniture. Deeply buried in your investigation, it's not until someone knocks the door that you react with a small jump. Hello, can I come in? Violet peeks from outside the door and then comes inside. Anything new, or were you having fun playing with Helio? I don't know what you mean. He was the only one fooling around. He's just trying to add some levity to the situation. Don't be so serious. Or maybe he isn't your type? Violet draws closer to you. You frown, looking away. I was just asking, sweetheart. Who knows? This could even help you remember something. Or maybe you had some other person in your heart before you came here? No, I don't think so. You look down, your eyes lost in your own robe for a few seconds. Don't worry if you can't remember anything. Don't try to force it or talk before you're ready. You know what they say about being king of your silence and slave of your words. Oh wait, you may not remember that proverb either. Violet presses her temple with a finger, her face making extravagant expressions to make you smile. I know the saying, don't worry. I'm not that bad, Doctor. Oh, that makes me feel old. Just call me by my name. I'm only a few years older than you. Not like anybody could tell. I was gonna say, how would you know how old Sync is? Hey. No, I didn't mean it that way. I'm talking about your mental maturity. It hasn't been that long since I woke up, but you've been a great help, Violet. Of course. What were you expecting? I have a lot more experience in this survival business after all. Now you really do sound like an old lady. Hey! You laugh at Violet's trembling, her face flushed in annoyance. I've prepared a few first aid kits using materials from this hospital. I was thinking about giving you one and teaching you how to use some healing magic in case you need it. But if this is how it's going to go... My bad, I'll listen. I was just joking. Healing magic over everything. And you're truly young of heart and also of face? What a kind girl. That last part wasn't even necessary, but I'll take it. I will say, flattery works much better on Rose than me, though. I'll keep that in mind. Violet hands you one of the first aid kits she prepared, then starts her lesson about how to use it properly in combination with magic. You unlock the first aid spell. Nice. Violet continues her lesson and is just finishing up the last few details when you suddenly interrupt her. Why are you doing this? At first Violet looks at you in puzzlement, but soon sighs and smiles. Because someone has to do it. You don't really understand her answer despite how sweet it sounds. She sees the incomprehension on your face. I know it feels like I'm lying just to save face, especially if we consider the end that awaits us. But I firmly believe that what I do has value. It's the same reason why I studied medicine in the first place. The same reason why I always worked in the intensive care unit. It was a non-stop battle to save the life of a few while watching the rest perish. Violet remains resolute despite the harshness of her words, staring directly into your eyes. You know what? I'm going to tell you something no other doctor dares to say in public, but I know the thought is in their minds too. It's not like I worked for that long, but in just that time alone, I noticed how so many patients nowadays deserve what happened to them. Saying that out loud sounds quite awful, right? But that doesn't stop us from thinking it. Of course, there are always accidents, congenital diseases, surgical mistakes, etc. But those are actually a minority. Most people simply put themselves into dangerous situations. Fights, drugs, careless diets, experiments trying to get attention, lack of preventive measures, healthcare or hygiene. Believe me, most of those ugly visits to the hospital could have been avoided by just thinking for 5 seconds. After seeing this with your own eyes day after day, there comes a point where you can't help but ask yourself the very question you just asked. Why am I doing this? In the end, I cannot truly know everyone's circumstances, what they did or will do in the future, their intentions, their morality. Who am I to judge anything or anyone? That's why my philosophy is to keep it simple. Everyone tries to justify their kindness and actions however possible. In many instances they throw money at the problem and then look away as if that was enough to earn a place in heaven. But if you never confront the real issues face to face, what's all that even worth? That's why I've always lived by the principle of helping real people, those directly in front of you. I mean truly limiting yourself to what's immediately in front of you, never paying any mind to the naysayers. The final result isn't really that important. It's something we'll never get to know. Violet raises her hand to gently cup your cheek. What's important is what we can actually touch. Her fingers recede from your face, leaving behind the warmth of her touch and her smile. Did I sound dull? You were probably thinking I'm such a bore. You shake your head, thankful to Violet for her answer. If that's all, then shouldn't we head back? The others must be worried. The girl leaves, but you stay still for a moment. You can't help but stroke your cheek, still burning from her caress. Her fortitude, her motives, everything about her catches your attention. You finally move to follow her back to the hospital entrance. But not before taking one last long look at the room behind you. Heart Violet. You return to the hall waiting for Helio so you can all go home. You have no idea where the guy is, so Violet went to find him while you wait in place. You're not really sure if you're missing anything. It's not like you're getting anywhere by thinking about it, so you examine one of the nearby vending machines instead. Despite the high likelihood of all its contents being rotten by now, you feel the urge to give it a try. You found some money before, after all. Then you remember what Helio mentioned before, and from your pocket you dig out the coin you found back in the park. He may have been right after all. You found a use for it even sooner than expected. I mean, just pick something that's not going to rot. I mean, if there's coke in there, that'll probably be fine 5 years after the incident. You insert the coin into the machine, considering what item has the least chance to be expired. If there's anything with milk, don't. What are these things made of anyway? It's better if you don't think too hard about it and try to live a happy life of calories and additives. Oh, so it's not a drink vending machine, it's a snack vending machine. Lost in your thoughts, you feel a touch on your right cheek that snaps you out of your daze. The touch of a hand inches closer to your lips. How many times have you tried to scare me already, Helio? Were you calling me? Helio's voice comes from your left as the boy greets you with his eyebrows raised in doubt. Then what's touching your right cheek? You see it as soon as you turn around. A black, slender hand glides across your face until it covers your mouth. You slap it away with your elbow, turning around and backing away to keep your distance, but... What the hell is this? Ah, I remember. These were the monsters that we fought in the very first chapter. This strange humanoid animal appears right next to you again. Bulging eyes, sharp, laughing grin. You trip over yourself at its sudden appearance, clenching your jaw. It's impossible for you to move around normally. You have to do something, say something, but all that comes from your mouth is gibberish as you point to the creature. Then you look to Helio and he also laughs. Now you're scared. Alright, good job, you can leave now. Your jaw falls open. Helio used only a single hand gesture to make that creature disappear, leaving behind small light spheres that quickly dissolve into the air. That was harder than expected, but I knew I could do it. This should finally prove that... Wait, what should this prove? I don't even remember. Helio walks over, offering his hand to help you up. You're still too shocked to even listen to him. Your breathing hasn't calmed down. Are you alright? That was just a joke. Come on, let's go. You can't hear a single word coming from Helio. All your strength goes into standing back up as an agonizingly deafening ringing fills your ears, and your head feels like it's splitting open. What? Helio's voice vanishes. You can't even see him in front of you anymore. Your body writhes in pain. All you can feel is the presence emanating from the main entrance at the end of the hallway, where a figure you barely manage to recognize, covered in a white robe, waits. You try to hold onto your weapon with one hand as the other clenches your forehead, trying to resist a terrible headache. Even as your body sways, you try to keep your eyes fixed on the woman in white at the end of the hall, as she steps ever closer to you. You can hear her distorted voice, impossible to comprehend, but somehow you can sense the meaning behind some of her words. You took those two from my life. You cannot replace me. This is my responsibility alone. He should remain by my side, not yours. The individual sentences quicken in speed, overlapping and blurring into one another. The words mixing into an incoherent jumble, finishing with one smile. Congratulations, now your dream can come true. You can't move. The swaying stops, the noise disappears. Only you and her in this empty vacuum. A sudden scent of sea salts drifting to your nose, still unable to recognize her face. The woman in white raises her katana, brushing its edge against your nape. It starts with a thin cut, but soon the blade slices through like butter, opening its new path without effort, deeper and deeper. Smooth, delicate, the blood draining out, the skin tearing little by little, until you feel your skull about to fall off your shoulders. Sink! Sink! Helio shakes your shoulders. Are you alright? What's going on? You instinctively scramble away from Helio with one hand while the other clutches your forehead. Your eyes look immediately to the end of the hallway. There's nothing there. What just happened? Are you asking me? You suddenly stopped moving and stared off into space. If that was your revenge for before, you totally got me. I'm really sorry I scared you, really. By the time you finally manage to calm down, a new interruption appears. This time it's Violet, coming from the other side of the building. Aha, there you are, Helio. I was looking for you. But it seems Zinc found you first. Helio releases his grasp of your shoulder, stuttering. Then you whisper. We're making an excuse. If you say so. You explain it away as a bad headache. Helio frowns at your excuse, his eyes restless, but he remains silent. In any case, shall we leave? I think there's not much more to see here. I hope coming here turned out useful to you, Zinc. You nod without much conviction, then follow Violet out of the building, trying to hide your uneasiness. One more time, as if nothing ever happened. Helio is sketchy. Just gonna say that right now. I would take all she had. 2 events is enough for the day. 2 main events, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. The main reason why I think Helio is sketchy is that were the same monsters that we fought against in the first battle. And just putting a theory out there, maybe Helio is the Tulpa/human. I don't know which of the two it would be. For or from the woman in white. Might be completely off, but that's just a thought I had. And I wanted to share it now in case I'm right. Basically. Alright, Thistle isn't coming. Your sleep is placid and undisturbed. All seems to be fine. But for how long? There's still a lot of time left, but you should be careful to prevent the castle's tension from rising too much. Okay, that's not a big rise. That's fine. Alright. It was only 2 main events, not 3 as I thought, but they were long enough. We're over 40 minutes now. So, what we're going to do is we're going to end the episode here. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks for doing so. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.